What's going on, everybody? My name is Aiden and welcome back to another video. Ladies and gentlemen, the Chicago Bulls are going to be a brand new team coming into this upcoming season, and even though we are projected to be a relatively bad team, I feel like there could personally be some players that may hide under the radar. So with that being said, today I want to discuss the potential underrated players for the Chicago Bulls. I'm only going to list 3 of them, and I want to discuss why I feel there is a potential for them to be underrated in this upcoming season. Someone that maybe people won't be looking at. Someone that has a point to prove. I feel like there are a couple of them on this team. To be fair, you could probably list the entire roster at this point in time with a point to prove or underrated or whatever the case may be. But we're going to discuss the 3 that I feel could potentially be the most underrated for the Chicago Bulls, or someone that people just don't expect to actually have that great season. But before we get any further, if you like the video and you want to see more from me, drop a like, drop a follow, and or subscribe if you are new. And let me know in the comments below your thoughts about the Chicago Bulls. Who are your more underrated players that you are looking forward to seeing in this upcoming Bulls team? Now, the 3 that I'm going to mention, let's start off with the first one. And this guy is a player that we brought in to the Chicago Bulls team in a DeMar DeRozan sign and trade to the Kings. His name is Chris Duarte. I don't think I've talked about Chris Duarte enough, to be honest, in relation to the Chicago Bulls, and I definitely feel like there is something there with this player. Now, I've mentioned some goods and I've mentioned some bads, and the big focus on Chris Duarte is that I feel like this is his last chance to make a huge impact at the NBA level. He had a great season in his first time out with the Indiana Pacers. He can score when he's absolutely at his best. He's a dangerous player on the offensive end. He's someone that Bulls fans wanted for a while, but for whatever reason, whether it's his own doing, whether it's the teams that he's on, those minutes have gone down and the production level has gone down for Chris Duarte. Now, the reason why I call this an underrated player is because I don't personally know what's going to happen with a player like Chris Duarte when he gets an opportunity, and a big opportunity to play for this Bulls team. I hope that he could get that opportunity with the Chicago Bulls, because I feel like there is an underrated player out there that could provide a very dangerous effect on the offensive end that we have the potential to let loose, and the Bulls need to find a way to do so. There's 2 ways I see this going with Chris Duarte. As I just mentioned, I see an opportunity for him to play and him taking advantage of that opportunity. I think he's proven he can score. I think he's proven he can make an impact. And I think he can get better than where he currently is at this point in his career. Or we do still have a lot of guards. And maybe Chris Duarte does fall down that pecking order even on this Bulls team. And if that's the case, then you might see Chris Duarte kind of bum out of the NBA in many ways, or maybe bum out to his next team. I'm not too sure. But I hope the opportunity is there for Chris Duarte, because I consider him one of those players I don't necessarily know 100% will thrive with the Bulls. But if he does, man, that's an underrated talent waiting to show what he can do. I'm looking forward to it. And speaking of underrated, let's move on to the second individual that we are talking about, ladies and gentlemen, and this player has potential to erupt again and really explode his NBA game with the Bulls team. He's another player that we brought in, but this time it was just from free agency. His name is Jalen Smith. Another player that Bulls fans wanted for a while. Jalen Smith is looking to really find a home in the NBA and looking for some stable minutes and stable playing time at the NBA as well. Again, very similar to the Chris Duarte situation, I feel like Jalen Smith's minutes has fluctuated over the course of his career. Sometimes he's received some really positive minutes and made positive impacts because of it, and then there are some moments where he doesn't get a lot of minutes and therefore you don't necessarily notice him on that team. Regardless of how you may feel about Jalen Smith, there is potential for him in the Chicago Bulls team. One thing I really like about him is, even though he's undersized, his physicality I think will be a big presence in this Bulls team. He's not afraid to have his back to the post. He's not afraid to back people down. And he does have a little bit of an area from the three-point line where I believe it was only for a season he shot only 40% from the three-point line. If he can translate that over to this Bulls team and shoot 40% from the three-point line this upcoming season, he's definitely going to get minutes, and he's definitely going to be a player that we can rely on from behind the arc. We need three-point shooters, and we need more, I guess, makes in this team for sure. And the one thing I do like about Jalen Smith as well is that he is not limited to just one position. He may be a small ball center. That's maybe what we use him as. The Bulls love their small ball. That's clear as day. But with that being said, he can also be a power forward. He can also play in that stretch four position. He can also be, you know, that physical power forward that we may be seeking from time to time. In some games, I think that can work. In others, maybe not so much. But he is definitely, in my eyes, screaming as an underrated talent, waiting to be utilized the right way. Can Billy Donovan and can the Chicago Bulls find a way to utilize Jalen Smith and bring his game to the next level? I sincerely hope so. But I kind of want to steer away from players that we already, I guess, signed or, you know, signed in trade and free agency. There's a player on this Bulls team that's been here for years that I think classifies as a very underrated talent. And his name, from the Chicago Bulls, Chicago's own, Ayo Dosunmu. That's who I want to talk about next, ladies and gentlemen. That is my final underrated player. Now, just because I'm listing only 3 doesn't mean there's not more out there. Guys like Adama Sanogo, guys like Dalen Terry, guys that doesn't necessarily get the recognition they may deserve on this Bulls team. There's a lot of opportunity for them to really make a claim in this Bulls team. But I feel like people are not giving Ayo Dosunmu enough credit. Everywhere I go, everywhere I see, all I hear about from Ayo Dosunmu is that he's going to be coming off of the bench for the Chicago Bulls. Now look, I'm not going to be a hypocrite about this. I still believe Ayo will be coming off the bench. But I don't think it's nailed on that he's going to be staying on the bench this upcoming season. I really don't believe that. Not only because Zach LaVine might be on his way out the door, but I think Ayo Dosunmu is genuinely good enough to make a real claim and knock really hard on the door of that starting lineup. And the reason why? Well, it's because of his two-way capabilities for me. I think he'll be one of our better defenders coming into the team this upcoming season. With the loss of Alex Caruso, I think our defense has gotten significantly worse, to be honest. I'm not looking forward to how the Bulls play defense in this upcoming season. We're definitely going to be an offensive-minded team. But Ayo is going to be the one that brings his A-game on the defensive end. He's going to be the guy that we look to for some leadership in that position. And I cannot wait to see what he can do and how he can improve on the defensive end. But he was one of our, if not our most consistent player heading towards the end of last season. He was really good in transition. His three-point shot became massively consistent towards the end of the season, and he was just overall the player that we relied on when things weren't going our way. And that is an incredible feat to have for a player that not even 2 years ago was being rumored to leave the Chicago Bulls for how bad of a second season he did have. And now we're talking about him as our most reliable, one of our most reliable guys. That to me screams of starting quality, starting 5 quality, starting 5 caliber, and it screams to me as an underrated player. And even if he doesn't knock on the door for the starting lineup, I think there's a very good shout he could be in contention for 6th Man of the Year in the near future. So keep your eyes on those 2 things, ladies and gentlemen. I think he'll be knocking on the door of the starting 5, but I also feel if he doesn't find his way to the starting 5, he's going to have a massive impact on this Bulls bench. Do you agree? Do you agree with my list? I know there is more. Let me know in the comments below. Thank you for watching. Drop a like and a follow and or subscribe if you are new, and I will see you in the next one. Stay safe, stay healthy, and stay tuned for more. Take care and peace.